Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show today, Monday, 11th July 2022. We apologize for starting the show late due to circumstances beyond our control, but nevertheless, we are here and we have very interesting topics for you today. And so at 7:30, we're going to talk about what measures should be put in place to actually bring sanity to notorious compounds in Lusaka, for example, the likes of Chiwoya, which is known for criminal activities. And at 8 hours, we're going to be joined by the Zambia Land Alliance Executive Director, Mr. Patrick Musole, who's just going to help us discuss land illegalities in Zambia. What lies ahead for the current administration? What tasks do they have to actually end these illegalities? So I am your host, Zipporah Mshala, and of course, I'm not alone in the studio. I'm joined by Miriam Kaimba. Good morning, Miriam.
Good morning, Zipporah. How is your morning so far?
It's cold. You know, it's hard to get out of the weekend mood.
I know, I can imagine. But anyway, Zipporah, when we come on this show, every time we always talk about, being a Monday and Tuesday when we host our program every day in the morning, we always look at the community aspect. And I'm sure last time talking about land illegality, last week you were covering something to do with land where 19 people were arrested, among them an 80-year-old lady. And we'll get to hear more about that. Yeah, to hear more about that. And we hope that, like you said earlier on, what the new administration is going to, measures they're going to put in place to ensure that we end land illegality in Zambia. This has been quite a very, for many years, of course. During the MMD time, we saw this happening. During the PF, we saw this happening. And now it's in the UPND. This has continued to happen. Anyway, let's see what we will see that new measures they will bring forth. But anyway, Zipporah,
now we're just going to move to our next segment, which is the Health Corner with Dr. Rafa Masabait, who's just going to help us discuss burns at home. And today we're just talking about introduction of burns, what are burns, when do they happen, and such things. And so for the rest of the week, we're actually going to delve deep and see some maybe some of the solutions to actually solving burns, because at home we have a lot of myths. For example, some people put Colgate, some people put butter on those burns, but really, is that what we're supposed to do? What should you do when you get burned?
Basically, someone will tell you when you get burned, please put Colgate. Sometimes others will tell you, no, try to put mud, wet mud, try to put on your skin. And
then, what science is there behind
that? I don't know. Others will tell you, apply some lotion, Vaseline, or some stuff like that. But anyway, let's get to see what the doctor has to say about this.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Rafat Basit Masa. I'm coming from Medical Women's Association of Zambia, MWAZ, and I'm going to take you through burns. I'm from the University Teaching Hospital. So I would like to take you through burns because it's one of the most important topics that we face almost every single day. We are always facing a lot of burns, patients with burns. We are losing out patients with a lot of burns. So we want to highlight you about burns, what you need to know about burns, what you need to understand about burns, how we treat burns. We want to discuss everything with you. So burns, what is burns basically? We need to understand what is burns basically. So when it comes to burns, burns takes place when you have like something really hot touching your skin or something really cold touching your skin. For example, if you have hot water pouring on you, it may burn you, yes. If you have hot porridge or hot oil touching your skin, it may also burn you. If you pour acids, if you get electrocuted, all these things are burns, and they are so injurious to health that we end up losing a lot of people every year. Every year we are losing quite a number of people, which we don't want to lose. We can avoid some of these injuries just by getting to know what they are, how to go about them, how to prevent them, and how to stay away from their complications. So when we talk, what are the things that may burn us? Like majority of the times you find that you are cooking, especially when you come from the low income families. You are cooking using braziers, so you find there are children who are walking around, running around. Once you leave that brazier alone with hot water or porridge, something cooking on it, it pours on the child, and actually the child gets burnt, which is so devastating because some of these things can be avoidable. Children are here to have a good life and not to get burned and end up in hospital. Some of them, they lose their lives. Others they actually make it. Others don't make it. This is how it is. So when it comes to burns, we have, types of burns that take place. For example, there are 3 types of burns actually which happen. So one is superficial. It's quite superficial. So that happens with hot water, oil, porridge, some of these things. And it only burns the skin. It doesn't go, our skin has got multiple layers, but it does not really penetrate much into the deeper part. It's quite superficial. So that is the first type of a burn. Then the second type of burn that we have, it's a little bit deeper than the first type. So for example, it gets your skin and a little bit deeper into your skin. So that burn, you'll find that it also occurs with acids, then other corrosive agents, then fire as well. Fire also causes quite deep burns. So these are second type of burns. Then third type of burns are really, really deep, that actually also burn your bones, your other organs. They actually go very deep into your body, and they burn quite a good amount of your body, which is sometimes very, very difficult for us health workers to also handle that burn, especially if it's really, really a great percentage of burns. So some of these things can be avoided by simple precautions. For example, when you're cooking, please make sure that you cook in a place where children are away from that place. Ensure that your children are not nearby so that they are protected from burns. Yourself, when you are doing all these household things, please ensure that you are also protected completely from going into this injurious part. And also in terms of we have noticed also those people who are like mechanics and they deal with cars. You find they open up their radiators without waiting for it to cool down. So we have patients who actually come with like deep burns secondary to that, because make sure that you wait for the radiator to actually cool down, then open up, because majority of the time if you open it up with the way it is hot, you may burn your face, your chest, your neck, and it may be deep burns, which also can be protected. So in burns, we can also have cold burns secondary to really, really frozen part. For example, we have certain diabetic patients that have suffered from what we call nerve disorders. So they have this habit of putting their feet on cold water all the time for hours and hours, because they don't feel that they have put their feet in cold water. But sometimes you find that they put their feet in cold water for hours, 1 hour, 2 hours. Those actually cause they are very harmful to your feet. You may end up burning them because you're overcooling them. You're cooling them and you may end up burning them more. That is also one way of burning, because those people think that by putting their foot on the cold water, they are actually feeling better, but they are actually causing more injury to their health, which is also one type of burn. So please look after yourself when it comes to burns, because every year we are losing out almost more than 10,000 patients approximately countrywide due to burns. Some of these things can be avoidable, and some of these things can be protected. So please keep watching our channel and get to learn more and more. The more you watch, the more you learn about our problems that can be actually solved without even coming into our institutes. So please keep watching Camnet, because we'll be bringing you different types of topics, different types of exciting things to talk about, and lots of things that you're going to learn about. Please stay tuned with us, and see you tomorrow morning again. My name's Dr. Rafat Basit Masa. I'm coming from Medical Women's Association of Zambia, MWAS, and I'm from University Teaching Hospital. I'm working there as a general surgeon.
A very quite interesting topic on our Health Corner by Dr. Masa, who was just teaching us one or two things with regard to brains. I hope you did learn one or two things like me, Zipporah. I don't know if you did, get something from what she said. She did bring out, a lot of good, important things that we should put into consideration when you find yourself in such a scenario. Yeah,
and but she did talk about different types of burns.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. So I'm sure as you go on, we're going to learn in the long run, like during this week, how we can actually treat different types of burns.
Exactly.
And just a reminder that our health segment is actually up for sponsorship. So for those who may want to get visibility for their products, you can actually come on board and sponsor the health segment. And just like the next segment as well, which is the money market, it's also up for sponsorship. And so Mimi, just before we start our day as usual, we have our money market, so that we can know how our culture is actually faring against the dollar and other major currencies around the world, so that we can actually know how to plan our day. So let's just take a look at the money market. So the US dollar is actually buying at 16 quarter 20 ngwe, selling at 16 quarter 52 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 19 quarter 45 ngwe, selling at 19 quarter 84 ngwe. The Euro is buying at 16 quarter 47 ngwe, selling at 16 quarter 79 ngwe. The South African Rand is buying at 0 quarter 96 ngwe and selling at 0 quarter 98 ngwe. So that's our money market, and I'm really happy, Miriam, if you just check. Yeah, the South African Rand normally is on 1 quarter.
It's also on 1 quarter. I've noticed that, yeah.
It means our quarter is doing really
well. And you must know that our Zambian kwacha, Zipporah, has gained value and become the 6th most powerful currency in Africa. Yeah, that's a very good thing.
The Nigerian friend was actually telling me on WhatsApp, congratulations, your kwacha is doing well.
Exactly,
it's doing well, but of course we always want it to report that to the common man.
Yeah, exactly. But it's good.
The 6th richest country in Africa. That's why it should actually come down to.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we hope that that will be. We are going in that direction, Zipporah. Looking at the current status, it's the most 6 valued. It has gained valued, and the most 6 powerful currency in Africa. It's a good thing. How many countries do we have in Africa? So I'm sure we're heading in the right directions, and we see that with the new administration in place, with a new government, we hope that things will change. I know a lot of people are saying, despite us boasting that our currency is now the most 6 powerful in Africa, we still have commodities are high. The cost of living is high. It's quite difficult for people, to survive in this economy. But hey, we hope that things will change for the better in the near future. Yeah.
Definitely. And so we're just going to move on to zooming yesterday's headlines. And so Miriam, yesterday we had a story from Mumbai district. That's in Central Province, where we saw little children moving for more than 1 hour. So they're saying that's the nearest school is 1 hour away. That's the nearest. And then those ones go to different schools. Some walk for maybe 1 hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours. They walk different amounts of time. And just to get an education. And so the parents are complaining that due to the long distances, our girls are not motivated.
What is it because the area is one school or what?
It's a village, so most of the schools are far from villages.
Wow.
So they come from the village all the way to school, and they normally move in groups, maybe to avoid being attacked and all those things. And so the parents were saying due to maybe the schools being far, it has resulted in a high number of teenage pregnancies because the girls don't want to go. So this is despite the free education policy.
Yeah.
So they're saying as long as schools remain far, you can bring the free education policy. It won't solve early marriages. It won't end teenage pregnancies.
Teenage pregnancy, yes. A very good concern. Let's see what that story has for us as we get.
Rural areas have continued to lag in many sectors of development, and the story is not different when it comes to schools, as these are located far away from most village settlements, meaning that even little children cover a long distance just to have a chance at education. Residents of Stephen Mwaza village in Mumbwa district of Central Province say this has discouraged many children, including girls, from attending an education despite the free education policy. In an interview, one of the parents in the village, Miss Lydia Daka, says this has made it difficult to put an end to child marriages and teenage pregnancies. She has therefore called on the current administration to ensure that each village has a school nearby as one way of encouraging many girls to attend school.
Especially vana vachikoro wiya wakupenga penga rodi ndotuinda mamota gwina rodi ivotu twari kurombano vantu kwamba government yakavora ino kaitugwahiri hako vana vatokumita chimitemite kwina achikoro chovatokwiya vana twagomba vana vatokuhura maclasses yomwe vana 100 ino vana varaiyahi vantu vanji vachisi mari kapotukapotwa vatokutura vana maprivate noso vantu ina mari vana varaiya buti twari kuromba ati mutugwahiriheko aronkanivo ya chikoro vana vapenga kwina aruiyo rubotu ruriko.
Meanwhile, some school-going teenage girls spoken to in the village have indicated that the nearest school is about 1 hour away on foot, which means that they're always late for school due to the long distance they have to cover going to various schools. The Ministry of Education had earlier in 2022 indicated that it is currently working on completing 115 education structures that had stalled as one way of solving the long distances to schools in some areas, as well as decongesting classrooms. Stakeholders in the education sector, however, argue that more needs to be done to ensure that all citizens across the country have equal opportunities in accessing education. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Mumbwa District. So there you have it. That's a story from Mumbwa District. And so the parents there are saying that children do not have equal access to education in comparison to people in the urban areas, because for them they only have schools which are far away, meaning they do not really have a choice whether they like it or not. Their children have to go there. Miriam, like for example here in the urban area, you choose, if you have a variety of schools, you choose, okay, maybe I might try to go to that school because it's better than some which is near.
But for them, you have no option but for your child to walk that distance. 1 hour, it's quite a lot.
That's the shortest, 1 hour.
Imagine if you can walk for an hour just to go to school. And then when you're tired, the concentration, we're talking about concentration. How are you going to concentrate? Even writing, you become tired. How are you going to write? And then again, when you're done with classes, you think about another 1 hour for you to reach home.
It's exhausting. Right?
It's exhausting. And then, with girls, again, you find in the villages, before you leave for school, you need to fetch water, you need to, to do home chores. Yeah. And then again, you put the 1 hour distance.
Yes, and that was around 12:30 when we caught up with these girls. And they said they go to class at 12 hours. Now imagine, they said that class starts at 12 hours. We caught up with them around 12. They so like, but are you not late?
They're late, meaning they'll find a teacher almost done.
So it was really, really disheartening. So
did we have the area MP commenting on that issue? What's the way forward? Are they planning?
The councillor saying maybe with CDF, although it was very far, that was Mumbwa, and then there was network problem because that was in the rural areas.
Yes.
So we actually just spoke to the council over the phone, who was saying maybe with CDF they'll try to advocate and all, but anyway, the mandate still remains with the central government, because that has been a misunderstanding of that. People think as if CDF takes over the role of the central government.
Yeah.
That just remains. So the central government still has that role of actually bringing overall development to the country. So CDF, of course, can supplement, but then what is the plan from the current administration over the schools there?
Yeah, and for us to ensure that we attain the SDG number 4, is the power of making sure that every girl and boy has access to education. You know, there's need for the government to put in more schools in this area, just to ensure that everyone is not left behind as we achieve this goal by 2030. Anyway, what is our other story that we have next?
Yes, we also had another story done by Mercy Chanika from Kawata constituency, where marketeers there at Kawata Market have opted to sell outside. And I've always wondered, Miriam, what the logic is. Well, if you go inside the market, you find that the market is almost abandoned. Only a few people are selling inside. But if you go outside, you find everyone has taken their goods outside. But isn't it that if you take your goods inside, people will actually come inside and buy it? Some people are trying to compete against others.
But you know, talking about that, I would like it if we can have a caller, you know, a trader, marketeer, just to give us their view with regards to this. Let's talk about Seat Market. Anyway, I know it was what, and then government is trying to construct it. You know, there's that development going on. But then there's need for people to go back inside the market. A lot of people would opt, you know, to remain out. Leaving the shelters empty there, and then, you know, the spacings, it's crowded, the road, and then you get to Tifuna Market, you find people complaining, Tifuna Market, but this space, it's abandoned, this space.
They're just trying to look for a reason to continue vending, because they feel like vending actually gives them more profit. They can chase after a customer in a car, and like in the market.
Is it so? But if we're going to say that we need to have a clean Zambia, you know, to bring sanity, should we head in this direction or this approach? We don't need to do that.
I think that's in Chama constituency, Jack Market.
Yes.
And I've also gone there recently, and it's the same situation where you find that the market, like literally, maybe there are about 3 people in the market, and everyone has lined up along the road, and then you wonder, like,
oh, that's John Howard Market.
What's
yes,
happening?
Yes.
So anyway, let's just take a look at that story from Kawata Market and see what's going on there.
This is what is left of Kawata Main Market in Kawata constituency, where traders are complaining of a lack of business owing to the presence of street vendors at the market. Speaking to Camnet TV, a trader who spoke off camera says it is challenging for them to meet their daily sales as vendors outside the market have the same goods.
Challenges mukati market mututushitisha because twamwena okutila elo baishiresa ba president balilandira ko bati vending yalapwa na kadalism yonse yapwa, and for sure president kadalism bali ipwisha nomba vending ichilile twalilila chili chani kuli bena because mwatile ba president batile bakanso balamba ko kulabomba bale yafwana naba mukati mu market bakanso ba polisi na ba market master bale bombera chapamu. They say the council has not done enough to remove vendors from the streets, and they were hoping that the UPND government will remove them as per campaign promise.
Affected vendors. Market ya shalata mwaba abantu bali pansi. So fyonse file tushupa. Tuchinja obuteko chimo chini. Aba alipo akale chimo chino baza tushibe twalaya kwi. Pantu bose chemo kwati bamobene feta tulisanga poko batimbi kutwala sanga kwe hope na ngushani yawo place mu market yemo yaba, but because of ama vendors panze tulefiro kuba tuteshani tukwata ama customers tabalengira shop right huku kuluma okulya mu Africa shop nakwena niwusewo abantu omobaye nomba muno market business ni business nchimwala bomba motapali ama vendors ama vegetables yali pansi muma shop right abantu na parking ayino ishitaba mina wakwata fe na mamotoka.
Calls to build more markets in order to remove vendors from the streets has been loud. However, for markets like Kawata, where traders opt to sell on the streets and leave the shelters vacant, a different remedy can be required. Mercy Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Really good point coming out from there, and serious concerns indeed. If councils, you know, they have constructed markets, Zipporah, and then we still have people going out, you know, trading from outside, leaving the market almost empty. So from the story done by Mercy Chanika there from Kawata Market, we have like 6 people, you know, inside the market, and then the majority are outside. And then they're saying, when the new Dawn government came into power, they said, no, we are going to make sure that we give power, council the power, you know, and then stop this vending, street vending. But anyway, this has continued. And then again, the other concern is that people who are trading from inside the market, they're being disadvantaged, because you find a customer, instead of going inside the market, who could just go nearby and from the vendor and just buy from there. Yeah. So you know, the result will be now those who are trading from inside the market will be now going outside. They'll join the line. So we are not doing anything.
And we will bring an end to street vending.
We will.
So anyway, that's something that has to be looked at, because it's the trend in most markets. Here in Lusaka, you find a market and then everyone takes themselves outside the market, which then it's just so funny, you know. Anyway, yeah. So that wraps it up for our Zooming the Headlines, or does it, Miriam? Yeah,
right about now we're going to open our phone lines, Zipporah, so that we can have people commenting on those stories that we brought out, just for them to give us our views with regard to that. And also, Zipporah, not forgetting, we did see last week and some days behind, where council was demolishing the booth, mobile booth, and then, you know, there have been an outcry from people out there, and then people they did say this is due to the AU meeting that we're about to have, so there's need for to ensure that the city is clean. But anyway, before I say much about this, let's see a clip done where street vendors president was giving their concern with regard to this issue. They were complaining about council, the move done by council to remove booth owners from the street, saying that no, despite different foreign dignitaries coming in Zambia, there's no need to remove these people from the street, because these people it's important for them to see how people in the informal sector contributing to the country's economy, and those were just some of the concerns that Mr. Frederick Tembo did brought out, who is the Street Association President, Street Vendors Association President. Let's see the clip before we talk much about that.
It is unfortunate that this is the time when our members can make money in terms of the people who are coming. It was last week when I heard on the news and I watched it on television, ZMBC, to those traders who deals in Craftsmith, just nearby the Mlongochi International Conference Center at Arcades, where the summit is going to be held, where they were interviewed to say it will be the business boost for them. So it was even very important for the vendors to do their businesses, because most of those people are coming from abroad. They need to come and see how we, the people in the informal sector, are pushing the economy and making sure that they can see how we are surviving from what we are doing.
There you have it. That was Mr. Frederick Tembo, the Street Vendors Association president, who was just saying that was a very wrong move by the council to remove booth owners, because there was need for these delegates who are coming to attend the AU meeting, which is going to be held, Zipporah, on the 14th and 17th of this month, to see how people in the informal sector are contributing to the country's economy. Your thought on that, Zipporah, before we get to get other views from people who are going to call us. What do you think about that? Yeah.
Well, I think like this has actually provided employment for many people, especially school leavers and people without employment. And really, people think as if maybe a booth, like, oh, it's just a booth, but it actually costs a lot of money. Miriam, I remember there's one time when I was actually considering, because someone told me that it's such a good business, I was considering, like, maybe that's an alternative business that someone can do. But then I found out that you need about 20,000 kwacha capital for you to actually have a booth, do the necessary registration, buy agent SIM cards, and actually have capital to start with. So imagine if someone invests as much as 20,000 kwacha just for it to go down the drain. So I think there has to be a way forward, given that we're talking about financial inclusion now, because booths actually provide an alternative.
Alternative, yes.
Queue at a bank, you just go by a mobile money booth.
Yeah.
Even in villages where there are no banks, far-flung areas, people use booths.
Booth, yeah.
So anyway, but this has been done mainly in Lusaka, but overall there's been this, maybe I can say, persecution of people.
But the argument is that there's need to keep the city clean, Zipporah. That's the argument. And then when you notice, Zipporah, of the past few years, you know, we have seen the mushrooming of these booths. So don't you think it's one way of...
I think they have to be put in a designated area. But of course, the laws, when you want to come up with a business with booth, the laws, the council actually has to tell you where to put the booth. Yeah. But people end up putting these booths where they feel like there's business, and because they feel like maybe the council can put them, maybe say, being Kablonga. Instead of being in town where there are people. So they don't really want, because they make commission. So the more money, the more transactions
they do, the more
commission you have. So for them, they look for highways. So someone can tell you, no, be in a community, but maybe for you want to make money. So really, they just here because they've got no option. No one is behind the highway, or someone else is behind Findeco or something. They'll be going where those boots are.
You know, it's quite sad. I did see a clip yesterday trending on social media where a certain lady was busy. Zipporah was bitterly mourning, you know, crying when council did demolish what a very sad scenario. I'm sure that was maybe the only means and ways of how she was surviving, you know, making ends meet. Quite sad. But anyway, we hope that there'll be a plan that will be put forth, proper regulation that will be put forth by the council. And we don't want to see a scenario where, you know, the council, just because of this AU meeting, this is when we are seeing an action being taken. If there's need, let them do that before. You know, so that they don't inconvenience people, and tell people before. A warning, yes. Because Zipporah, I'm told these guys, if they are trying to put up a structure, they pay something.
Yes, they even is it monthly, they pay quarters to the council.
So, you know, if you're going to pay and then later on you have someone, why didn't you tell me earlier on? You know, you're inconveniencing me. Yeah, a notice would have been better. But anyway, right about now we are opening our phone lines. We want to get your comment and your views with regards to that issue. And later, on our show this morning, we are going to be joined by someone from the Land Alliance, where we are going to be talking about land illegality in Zambia. We know this has been a hot topic, something that has continued over the recent years. We saw the UPND, I beg your pardon, we saw in the MMD government, we saw in the PF administration. This thing was still there, land illegality. It's still there. When it comes to land illegality, Zipporah, I don't know if it's only in Zambia or other African countries are also facing the same challenges.
Find out from the expert.
Yes, we need to find out from the expert indeed, because this has been
It's something and Miriam, the other time I found it very funny where a woman was said she was displaced from her land from here in Lusaka, and was given title deeds in Mikango by the same person who displaced her, allegedly from the Ministry of Land. He allegedly displaced her like in favor for someone else. And so he said, I'm giving you another piece of land in Mikango. By the time they went back to start building, they came and told them, no, your title deeds are not showing here. They're showing in Mukushi. So really. So now they're in Mukushi, and I'm told that place has got mountains. The place where they've been given those title deeds. I'm told it has got mountains and mountains, because the man was saying, even if they give you that land for free, you can refuse it.
But if it's, don't tell me you're going to build your house on the mountains. How? But you know, I like the other point that you have brought out. You said she was displaced by someone from the Ministry of Land. But if we're going to have people from the Ministry of Lands doing such thing, how strong are our policies, you know? How are you going to how are you going to protect an ordinary person like me, you know? So just because you want to favor someone who is well-to-do, and then you leave me out, a commoner, how are you helping me out? This is something that we need to address seriously if we're going to deal with land illegality in Zambia. Exactly.
Yes, and just before we move on, Miriam, before we jump into our segment of illegality, we have another issue, which is this crime, or maybe should I say no-go zones. So they're called no-go zones due to crime. But really, should we actually keep these places the way they are? Should we fear, for example, Chivolia, Kanyama, those areas? Should we fear what should be the way forward? The would be left to see from the police in terms of aggressively addressing the crime issues in these places. In my opinion, when you tell me about Chivolia, basically it's a no-go area for me. For us, but it's not supposed to be a no-go area for police, because they're supposed to make that place safe for the ordinary citizens. But
again, you know, anyway, we had, I think, the late President Michael Sata, he did mention something about Chivolia. You know, there were plans of, you know, demolishing the houses there, trying to, you know, do something to that area. But anyway, I don't know how far that went. Yeah, I don't have full details with that, with regards to that. But moving forward, we would want to see a situation where we have police being deployed in these areas full time. Full time, so that they can bring sanity. When you talk about crimes in Chivolia, Zipporah, we talk about young people as early as 13 attacking someone who is 24, 25, 30, 60, you know, someone who is 13. And they can, if they approach you, they can even, you know, move a knife or stuff like that, stab you. The one quite sad thing about Chivolia is, I've witnessed that before, you know. I was in that area trying to get some stories, and then we saw one of the persons being attacked. And then people were passing, not helping that person. And then they'll tell you, if you help, they will attack you. So you'd rather just walk away. And they even feel themselves. Exactly. But Zipporah, imagine I'm being attacked, and then you're just looking at me, you're not helping me out. Where is the humanity? Where is the thing of Ubuntu?
That's scared. I witnessed it the other time when in the field in Chivolia. Around 11 hours, we saw someone being attacked by, I think, about 3 guys with knives. And everyone was just passing, people just distracting themselves, cars were speeding up. So really, until we were with our driver who actually started hooting, but it took a long time. And our car just stood there hooting until they ran away. We helped the person in our car and drove off. So really, that's the situation in Chivolia. And so people have actually been calling for a long-lasting solution to the same. But I'm sure there are many other such communities throughout Zambia which are known for crime, and most of these are unplanned settlements. So really what we have to do as local authorities to actually bring sanity, to make sure that places are properly, and all that street lighting, to make sure that communities are safe.
Out there.
So let us take a look at one of the stories that we had from Chivolia compound on murder.
I'm here in Lusaka's Chivolia compound, which is mainly known for criminal activities.
these criminal activities have been attributed to the high drug and alcohol abuse here in this community, which has mainly been caused by the lack of productive activities among the youths. Now, just here where we're standing, the body of a man suspected to be around 26 years old was found hacked to death this morning. It is suspected that the man was hacked to death in the early hours of Wednesday morning. Now, this has happened within just a space of 2 days when Camnet TV carried a similar story just here in Chiwolya compound, where the body of a man who has not yet been identified was found in an incomplete building. We talked to some eyewitnesses who have expressed concern about the security situation here in the area.
Wamucheka pakati kumatako apa palikati maningi apa na sapato alibi.
Mnyamata vampaya vamcheka na maronda. After kuona so naenda ku polisi kuchita ripoti polisi na bwana polisi babwera bayangana ngala mpata kuchipopa pano amyangana wa mkopa msnapi futina kutumira ba in charge na kubwera kumtenga.
Others state that most of the police patrols are conducted during daytime and instead of the nighttime when they're needed the most.
Polisi wakuno waikeko nzeru vantu ni soche every time mkaenda pa polisi mwende mtengo wa polisi olo kwa stika problemu manpower palibe walipoche wavili but kuseni ndepa nwapeze kawapita mogwira vantu wanwazipitia na tumabagi but kutuwa selenze ishito yao wa polisi siwafuna tavutika kuno kulodi please wa polisi waikeko nzeru maagala 19 nshiyayamba
ipa uyu mtu sanampae bwino kuno kwa tutima kangiwa kugona 19 hours nishibantu ayamba kwambo kumenya 18 hours ufunika cha uyopa
sana febwino olonyama simungaje mwanje bamuchencha ula kuyipa bakapukula kubapeza bali kuseni.
We also spoke to the Ward Development Committee Chairperson, Mr. Gift Nswana, who has actually expressed concern over the low staffing levels at the police posts here in Chiwolya.
Yes, we have a neighborhood watch, but we don't have enough manpower from the police.
We also spoke to the area councillor, Harimwanga Nkumbula, Ward 12 councillor, Mr. Aaron Mwanza.
We are calling for other stakeholders to come on board and assist us with that, with the transportation. You can imagine the all police posts that we have here. We have enough, at least 5 of them. We don't have even a single duty vehicle.
We have also reached out to the Zambia police to ask if there are any plans to actually be conducting random searches in people's houses to actually search for these weapons. There has been a lot of talk from different stakeholders actually calling for the demolition of Chiwolya compound. Others, however, have been stating that demolishing Chiwolya is not the solution, but actually rehabilitation centers should actually be constructed here because they say there is need for a mindset change instead of demolishing the whole compound. We will continue to monitor the situation in Chiwolya compound to see how things unfold here and if there will be a permanent solution to Chiwolya compound, which has remained notorious for a long time. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. I'm here in New Chiwolya compound of Lusaka, and behind me is a building commonly known as Mutakulwa. Now, according to the residents here, this building has actually become a target which is used for many vices such as rape, murder, and the dumping of dead bodies. And so this morning of 4th July on Monday, the residents actually notified Camnet TV stating that the body of a man who has not been identified but is suspected to be between 25 and 30 was found here in this building. And so here are the views from the residents who actually want the building to be demolished.
Toka ku market kuseni tapeza abana basobera apa ndiye kukambati muri chitumbi so ndiye wamete ndera bazimaitenze batatu tangenamo tapeza muntu nuwokufa achitasu so ndiye wamete ndera kuchita report ku polisi na kubauza ati kuri muntu afera mu chinyumba omu ndiye wamete bwerera na beve wa polisi ndiye wampezera wamdobera uyo muntu
Palele fya chitika batisango omuntu wafumu ero terero fyamba kale fyamba kale jonse baratola mu abantu abafumu nomba chachiramu. So I think ichefa ikafe bachitobe.
Yes. Building nda pachiramo bantu bambiri bachairapo maagara. Na maagara futi na rape case futi wakazi benangu tapeza ati munyumba. Peza kati wakachoka kukapena nkutari uko waburo mutaira omufuti muri chechi chipiti. Mwayona. ora futi peza ati mukazi unango akamugwira futi bora mule pinyira mwamene omfuti bagayi seve chifuna ngoza ati boma yanga nepo pali building
so ngati wachifundisiza vachipwanje uli vachipazi tichipwayindise kasi timvera munje monga mukazi amwali monga lero apa ni muntu wakaere mwaona peza chamwali mwaona chaka ere wantu wakanza ndise fitampa so at least ndise vakuno wakanza basa was expected ndise so at least vachipwanje vachichose epo chintu apa mwazi.
The further explained that one cannot pass here past 18:30 hours because they will be attacked by community gangs commonly known as junkies.
Majanki achitaova vachitoimirira pamene apa 19 hours isipita.
Meanwhile, Camnet TV took a step further and talked to the owner of the building, Miss Ruth Piri, who has explained that this building was actually started by her late husband, but then the family failed to complete the building following his death.
Over the building, my husband died some 2.5 years ago. It's a building permanent nankala pants wa family. Kwenye makwarozi so hapa tinaenda na court. We are planning to sell that building. Ero yo ya mene lero ndiye pamene na dabwati mapezeka muntu wakufa. Kaya ngatafinga tiba mupaira mwamene mujolo bamutaira mo chabela ya I don't know because si mankala kuna na ine ni.
She explains that the matter is currently in court and so they cannot demolish the building as the land is not yet fully in their hands because the court procedures have not yet been concluded. But she explains that as soon as the court procedures are completed, this building will be demolished. The residents, however, say they cannot wait that long and would like action immediately. Now, Camnet TV has been carrying a number of stories where a number of communities have incomplete buildings, and these have actually been seen to be used for illicit activities by criminals. We further reached out to the area councillor, Mr. Aaron Mwanza, and this is what he had to say.
So we are planning to get maybe those containers to be mounted here, so that the police officers can be guarding this place as we are waiting for demolishing of this area, and also so we'll do that next week. So we want to work with the WD so by next week we bring a container here.
Now, the Department of City Planning at the Lusaka City Council has been conducting an audit of such buildings to have them either sold off in the event that their owner is recognized, and in the case that the owner is not known, for them to be demolished. Security has been one of the major concerns in the face of communities that have such buildings. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
So there you have it. Those are two stories from Chiwaya compound, and to you, our viewers out there, what are your thoughts on what should be done to actually bring sanity to Zambia's a lot of compounds in Zambia which have got similar incidences of crime? And so we've opened our phone lines for you to actually give your views, because we've seen a lot of people dying in such circumstances, mysterious circumstances, but really what has been done, because these communities continue to be dangerous despite people living in them.
Exactly, Zipporah. And I think that was last year before the build up to the elections. We did cover a story, in fact, me and Patrick Soko in Mississippi compound where people were hacked, Zipporah.
And
you know, you're a reporter, you go at a scene and then you're trying to cover a story, and then you hear, you know, they're trying to attack people more. It's a quite sad scenario, Zipporah. And we hope that as we move forward, we'll have police intensifying security in these areas. Because when we look at the way things are being conducted, Zipporah, and if you, I don't know if you did get some of the views from the people you interviewed on the ground. Majority will tell you that tikamvera kawala kuno wa police tikawaza tibabwere uzamvera wana machani ngati wana mamfutisti bwerako. You know, there are a lot of instances where police would tell residents that they're not going to come that side if
because the people are armed.
Yeah, if the thieves are armed or stuff like that. We have covered stories where people would complain about that. But anyway, we hope that there's enough security in the area. Imagine.
But you see, that's our job.
That's our job.
Yes, as journalists and police, we have to be brave and cover such stories.
Uncover, yeah, exactly.
I was impressed yesterday. I was actually watching a documentary from BBC. Like
where this reporter was actually on the crime scene when police were actually having a battle with robbers. And so this is the kind of like bravery we're supposed to have really when dealing with such issues in terms of helping our community.
Exactly.
I'm not saying
we have heard such a lot of such stories, but anyway, we hope that we'll have the police next time on the show just to explain to us.
We have had the police actually many times who
so that they can clear up these rumors. Others are not rumors. They say they are doing a good job, but these are not. Some would deny, refuse to say they're not rumors. Actually, they happen on the ground. Like you hear people, police saying, "140, still a and then you.
And there's one thing that concerns me. We had people killed in gruesome circumstances. For example, the case of Ruth Mbandu. If you remember, Ruth Mbandu was actually skinned. Her face was skinned, her skin was removed on her face and all that. So I feel like due to such crimes, we're supposed to have some perpetrators caught so that they can be an example to others, really. But if you look at the developed world, people take seriously even the death of, even if someone was a prostitute. If you watch those news, even if someone is a prostitute, they treat that life as valuable.
Valuable, yes.
But here in Zambia, just look at the comments on Facebook. I was last week where a girl was raped in a bar. A 20-year-old lady was raped, and people were like, hey, she got what she deserved, should have been at home, and all those things. So really, that's one area which we have to actually improve in going forward.
Exactly, Zipporah. And moving forward, we hope to see the much needed emphasis for the community to come together. When you hear someone is being attacked, don't just leave that person. Like what usually happened in Chuolia. It's a very quite sad scenario. And then later on you want to say, no, there's Wamupaya. But you were there, you were watching. Why didn't you come forth and help your colleague, your friend?
Yes, and we're now moving to our next segment. We're talking about land illegalities here in Zambia. And just last week here we had a story where some residents, that is along Shantumbu Road off Jiglings area, actually alerted us saying there are some illegal constructions that are going on there. So according to them, they alleged that it began in the previous administration, and then they stopped and the UPND won, but then they're saying, after the UPND said they won't follow the rule of law, they began again.
Who are those, the cadres?
Yes, so the alleged cadres of the former ruling peer. Yeah, so now the situation there, when we went on the ground, Miriam, was actually shocking because we find that there's a whole line of Zesco poles, and then you find that people begin building houses around those poles. Each pole, a house, and so on. It was really something else. So let us take a look at that cadres and just see what's going on there.
Before we go on that, we have a caller, Zipporah. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, please. Welcome to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Kamara South?
Hello?
We can get you. You're calling us from where? Seem to have lost that caller. But anyway, please do send us your text messages and call us. But right about now, we'll go direct in playing that clip on land illegality.
When visiting Shantumbu Road off Jiglings area in Lusaka, one is greeted by a shocking sight as the construction of houses is actively going on around Zesco poles. Reports of such illegalities have been rife of recent, prompting concerned stakeholders to call on all relevant authorities to conduct a land audit, especially in Lusaka province. Concerned citizens who tipped off Camnet News alleged that the constructions were started by members aligned to the former ruling Patriotic Front PF when in government, but explained that construction stopped following the victory of the United Party for National Development UPND in August 2021. They, however, explained that construction has actively resumed following the pronouncement by the current administration that they will not persecute anyone but allow the law to take its course.
As you can see, we are in Shantumbu Road. This is along Shantumbu Road where we have discovered the PF cadres, the Ankoti and the Chisha. These are the people and the friends. These are the people who are doing these illegal structures. As you can see, they were building these illegal structures even under the power line. So in New Dawn government, we are not going to condone or tolerate this nonsense happening here. We are here. We are saying no to this nonsense.
A spot check by Camnet News also revealed that some of the houses have reached roof level, while others have already been fenced off and gates erected. Another concerned citizen, Mr. Dube Mukuni, has also spoken out.
So we want to find out exactly who is in power. Is it PF or UPND? Because when UPND, they are the one who did this, the police, they would have already been here. But the PF, nobody follows them. So we want to find out what is happening. Is it PF who is in power or UPND? Because if PF, they can do this, what about UPND? Why are you arresting UPND when they are doing simple things, when PF are doing big things which are illegal? So we are appealing to a government to say the government should come here and look at this.
While the PF is on record denying any illegalities when in government, concerned citizens have been calling for inspection of all suspected illegalities to ensure that the rule of law is fully restored in all areas. They have since called on the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to inspect the said land in question. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. This is a family originally from Lusaka's Chamba Valley area who have now been turned into nomads with no permanent residence after their land was allegedly grabbed from them in 2016 by their neighbor. One of the affected, Ms. Ruth Nambela, explains that the land, which stretches up to 2 hectares in size, was bought by her grandmother, 74-year-old Fides Namwila, in 1991, along with another family who were already sitting on part of the same land, while the two families were awaiting to be given title deeds. She, however, alleges that the other family in 2016 were given title deeds for the entire 2 hectares with the help of their relative from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, which saw their house being demolished. Ms. Nambela explains that her family spent 3 months sleeping out in the open after that, but were later given another piece of land by the said official from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources in Mikango area, but later displaced in similar circumstances. The aggrieved woman states that her family was finally given land but in Mukushi district, in a far-flung and mountainous area, which is not conducive for her family, given that they live with persons with disabilities.
Tinapeza kati jalandi petina bwera kuno banatuza ti tifuno ziba mwamine muni chani muni mabikoni so that pajapalandi timeambo manga hapo tinapeza kati after tatenga masurveyors taenda kuja nombo peza kati jalandi anetenzo ziba ti ndiye yatu yamene tinasanga tinapeza kati ajama title deed si ndiye ya palandi pajawe landi nachokera kwinangu ndemwane tinaendera na masurveyors paka kuendo fika kuja kwa mene tina kwa nienzo bapasa location kulandi tinaendo peza tinikusanga tinaendo almost 7 kilometers kwenda fika pamene pali land kupeza ti land tinajumpa ma mountain ya 3 elo mulandi yenze pansi muchimugodi muli vimugodi vakuti nangu bakupasa chati nakupasa ko chabo zingalapo fulisunga vomele.
Meanwhile, her mother, Ms. Doris Nankamba, explains that efforts to get help from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has been slow. She was speaking after a meeting with the Commissioner of Lands at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources.
Brief. So peta vachita brief vakamba kuti okay namvera inkani yano but nizafunako first kuitana vamene vadhaka because kairi vantu vana vachinja chinja basi vari manje mumaoffices vadhaka kaiti vari kuministry of supply so vazafuna kuti vadhaka vakavaitani vadhaka manje ndiye vauza the truth pali icha vakauza ndiye pe vazaita bwana ndiye pe vazatiitana ife manje kuti vazive kuti what's the way forward ndemwe vakambira then vanipemba kuti onirembeko later at least yamene izachita indicate kuyambira kuchiyambi napa so that vazive kuti manje vaenda bwanji bevi.
The family has called on the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Elijah Muchima, to take an interest in the matter, stating that they cannot be destitute in their own country. They have also called for an audit of all human resource at the said ministry, alleging that most of them are involved in illegalities. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Land ownership in Zambia is becoming increasingly a contentious issue. This is because land is more than just an economic asset or factor of production. Today in studio, we are joined by Zambia Land Alliance Executive Director Patrick Msole, who is going to help us discuss about ending land illegality in Zambia. Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show.
Good morning, Miriam. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning. So, before we get into talking about land illegality in Zambia, please tell us the mandate of the Zambia Land Alliance.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Zambia Land Alliance is first and foremost a network of non-government organizations that was formed in 1997 at the helm of land reforms in this country, at the peak of land reforms in this country. Our mandate is to engage in land advocates to advocate for the policies and laws that are sensitive and responsive to the needs of the Zambian people. And so we've been in existence since that time. Currently, Zambia Land Alliance has 7 national members and 8 district branches.
Okay, and so really looking at the issues of land illegalities, is it just here in Africa where we're seeing such maybe cases? Are they there in developed countries such as the USA?
I think it's not, I would say that land wrangles and land conflicts are world over. They are rampant in Africa, and it's purely because of politicization and the lack of adequate laws and the policies to guide governance of land. But they are not only restricted to Africa. They are world over. The conflicts we hear about in the Middle East are a result of land. We have a lot of land conflicts in South America, where natives are displaced and land rights defenders and environmental defenders are being killed every day. In other countries, land rights are actually a fatal business. It's also a problem in Malaysia and other countries. So land rights wrangles and conflicts are not only a Zambian problem, they are not only an African problem, they are actually a global problem. But they are predominant in the developing world because of inadequate laws and the rule of law.
Okay, and so maybe going forward, given that you have mentioned that they are rampant here in the developing world, what can we do differently? As for example here as Zambia, what should we do to actually put an end to such incidences?
What we need to do is actually to come up with laws that are responsive to the needs of the people. So we need to work on our policy and legal frameworks to ensure that these laws are adequate to protect the interests of the Zambian people primarily and all landholders. But more than that, we need to ensure that those laws and the policies that we come up with are actually enforced. Currently, we have a lot of illegality in land administration. Not that we have no rules. We have laws, we have policies. The problem is lack of enforcement. So we are excited at the moment. We have...
Oh, we have a call, Mr. Msole. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Fine, thank you. You're through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Can you tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and give your contribution? Can you speak up? I'm saying, can you speak up? We can hardly hear you.
Yeah, the only problem is like
okay, can you call us back?
Sir, we'll have to cut you. Please kindly call us back, and when you do so, please kindly reduce the volume or make sure you're not near your TV set to ensure that we're able to get you audible enough with your contribution. Please go ahead with your call.
Yes, I was saying that currently we are actually excited that we have a national lands policy that is in place. It may not be a perfect document as we would have wished, but it's something that we think we can build on with time, because the policy is a living document. And so we have a current policy which, if implemented, would improve land administration in this country. So like I said earlier, our biggest challenge is that we have laws, we have policies that are not enforced. And so that's where our biggest challenge is. So if we continue on this trajectory, even the current policy that we are, even if it's perfect, it will not help the Zambian people if it's not implemented. So we need to work on implementation of current laws and policies to ensure that people's land rights are protected, people's land rights, people are able to enjoy their rights as Zambians.
We did see on one of the clips done by Ziporamshire where a lady was displaced from a property. Do you think there's need to establish a single government entity to regulate the sale or allocation of land?
Well, currently, the administration of land is the mandate of the Minister of Lands, done through the Commissioner of Lands. But of course, we also know that because they are not present in every district, they have an agency which is the local authorities, the councils, are the agents of the Minister of Lands. And so I think what we need is to have consolidated land management information system so that if the council gives out a title, it reflects in the system and the Minister of Lands cannot give a title on the same piece of land. Because currently we do not have consolidated information. So what it means that the council and the Minister of Lands could be doing different things on the same piece of land, which will result into conflicts and the duplication of titles on the same piece of land. And I think that needs to be addressed.
And to our viewers out there, we are discussing issues of land illegalities here in Zambia with the Executive Director of the Zambia Land Alliance, Mr. Patrick Msole. So do go in on the numbers that are scrolling on the screen or leave a message on Facebook and give a comment. And so, Mr. Msole, earlier you did mention that we have the laws, but we have poor implementation. What could be causing the poor implementation?
Well, I think in the recent past, Zambia has been badly affected by the culture of cadarism, where because certain individuals have been affiliated to the ruling party in particular, they become untouchable and the law enforcement are not able to implement existing laws. And so I think that has been a problem because of cadarism. And this cadarism has bred the culture of impunity, where people feel that they can do wrong things and no one will touch them. We've seen people encroach on land that is on title and begin to do developments on it. And even if the owner tries to report to the police have not done anything, which has been very sad indeed. And I think it's gratifying to see that the police in the past week were able to swing into an issue where party officials belonging to the ruling party were found dealing on land and be able to arrest them. I think that's a new trend that we have seen, and we hope that that kind of trend will actually continue. We need to have the restoration of the rule of law so that everyone knows the laws, everyone follows the laws, and whoever breaks the law, no matter what their party affiliation or whatever their background is, no matter who they are, the law visits them. And I think that would help us when we begin to follow the rule of law.
Help us understand, do we have enough land in Zambia? Because of late we have seen people encroaching places like the graveyards.
Wow,
so, yes, we have seen.
Or is it a matter of people wanting to be close to the capital city?
Capital city or what?
Well, I think we have more than enough land in Zambia for Zambians. We are only over 18 million Zambians. It's a very small population, and the amount of land that we have is vast and it's enough. The problem that we have is the urbanization, where everyone wants to be in Lusaka, everyone wants to be along the line of rail. And this is where the pressure has built up. And because of high concentration of people in Lusaka and just the line of rail in general, the pressure on land or the demand for land has escalated to unprecedented levels, such that going by the principles of supply and demand, the cost of land has become extremely high. And it is only the very wealthy who are able to afford land in Lusaka, for example. But we have land. When you people run adverts about the real estate companies, and when look into the media, there are so many advertisement of land by real estate companies. Where do they find this land? This is real land which is there. The problem is because of demand for this land.
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, through to the breakfast show. Can you tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and your contribution?
I'm calling from Mundora. This is David Banda.
Alright, you can go ahead, Mr. Banda.
Yeah, I'm calling from Thank you so much.
Alright, thank you very much. And just for viewers, in case you don't know the story, Mr. Banda is talking about the story we're playing earlier, where a family was living in Chamba Valley since 1991, but they were sitting tenants on that land. So the land is about 2 hectares in size, along with another family. But then in 2016, they say that the other family actually had a connection with someone from the Ministry of Land and were given title deeds for the entire 2 hectares, making them displaced. So that family, the man from the Ministry of Land who actually gave the other family title deeds, actually gave them some other land in Mikango Barracks, but they were later displaced, saying the title deeds for this land are not showing that the title deeds were given you don't show that your land is here in Mikango, but in Mukushi, in a place with mountains. And so really we're talking about human rights here, Mr. Musole. So maybe that's your response to the caller in terms of what you said.
Thank you, Zipporah. I think that was more like a comment, rather than a question from the caller. Mr. Banda was making a comment on that and basically advising how the case should be handled.
Yes, and maybe just what should be done to protect the common man from these people who've got connections, maybe with people from the Ministry of Lands.
I think in the first place, the people from the Ministry of Lands should not have just dealt with, should have gone ahead to give a title without consulting the other people surrounding or with an interest on that. They should have ascertained to find out whether this land was just for that family or there were other interests. Before a title is given, they should have established other interests on that particular land to ensure that any conflicts surrounding that land are resolved before the title is issued. So we feel that there wasn't adequate consultation or verification, because when land is being alienated, it's important to ensure that due diligence is carried out to ensure that there are no other interests before a title is given. But it looks like they went ahead to issue that title either knowingly or unknowingly that there were other interests on that particular land. I think that was the mistake on the part of the Minister of Land. They should have verified to ensure that there are no other interests. Now, when it comes to allocating alternative land, I think the people that are going to be allocated alternative land should be consulted to find out in the first place.
Mr. Sorry, I'll just hold your thought there. We'll have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Mwaka
Bwino mwaka bwanji, tuuze nkoni zina yanu na kwa memu chitumira. Oh, okay. Munga choose a contribution yan.
Is a quick what things and so many put a question to the minister or the name. Yes, a man that the Nana and the developer see and almost cannot see like the other. That is what it is that but not doing somewhere or the see a cat. No more take a cat in around.
Okay.
Which the peer
manyumba ya kutiema mukambayo. Shantumbu.
Oh, to the age that they were giving themselves.
Wenzo zipasa kuli malligation ati wenzo zipasa weka makadazi ya jama plot yaje. Kuli ni malligations ya tikaiposta established kuli malligations. You can book out the irrigations. Okay. Okay. Okay, Scomo.
So anyway, yes, I'm sure she can just give us a message, isn't it?
Just for her, just to clarify for her, in studio we are joined by Zambia Land Alliance Executive Director, Mr. Patrick Musole, who is helping us discuss about land illegality. He's more like a land expert.
Yeah, about land rights.
Land rights, yeah, policies. Exactly. So, Siwa Minister, Siwa Minister, meti now mu studio land. But concerning that is actually a follow up na Ministry of Lands.
And I'm sure we can even actually go there on the ground.
Yeah, exactly, and find out.
So I'm trying to get a number just after the show. And so, Mr. Msole, were you on a point earlier?
Yes, I was talking about when it comes to compensation. We have a national resettlement policy which prescribes compensation of people.
We are not going to finish today.
Okay.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. We are able to get you, sir. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm just asking the question that I'm approach. However, the question from approach. Conquer the issue that you can't speak the land. There's someone needs to in the land. Even after this new government, the issue is the benefit of whole I think the Manga Makola is the most power to let Rama is the thing is done. And you should not just take a day to give themselves. No, that is the black guy. That is what
Which place is that? Which place is that? We have lost it. Anyway, there are a lot of contentions in terms of land illegality. And Vina, do complete your contribution in this time. So, can you also maybe just give what do you need to actually do to politicize land, since that has been a major concern?
All right. Maybe let me first of all finish my point. When it comes to land reallocation or compensation, the person who is being compensated needs to be consulted as to whether they are interested to get land in the area that they are being reallocated. For example, it would be unfair to take someone who has lost land in Lusaka and be given alternative land somewhere else in another province. I think that's very unfair and unjust. Yes. So the person should have been consulted, or the family should have been consulted to ensure that they are agreeable to the alternative land that they've been given. So that if they have an interest going to settle out in the central province, then they would say, okay, we accept this as the way of compensation. But to give people land in an area where they do not, they are not interested to stay, I think is not right. So there's supposed to be consultation, a process of consultation. As Zambia Land Alliance, we actually advocate for a principle called free, prior, and informed consent. What that means is that before anyone is given land, or before land is allocated for any development, the people that are affected must be consulted before that development, so that they can freely consent without coercion, without being forced, without being threatened. And it looks like in that particular case, that family was not consulted before that decision was made, which was a violation of their rights. Now, on the so many land cases that are going on in Lusaka, I think part of it's a shared responsibility between the citizens and also the cadres. First of all, people have been allocating land when it is not their mandate to allocate land. I did mention earlier on that there are only two entities that have the legal mandate to alienate or allocate land. These are the Ministry of Lands or the town councils or the councils themselves, that Ministry of Local Government. Ministry of Lands is the principal entity that has the mandate to allocate land, but it has given an agency function or responsibility to the Ministry of Local Government in areas where the Ministry of Land does not exist, has its units, functional units. The Ministry of Local Government, through the town councils or municipal councils, are able to do to allocate land. So when you find an individual saying that no, I'm giving out land, you need to query that person. You need to ask for papers on that land. You need also to verify whatever papers they give you with the Ministry of Lands or with the council to ensure that those papers are authentic. So in short, they need to carry out due diligence before they acquire any land from an individual. Because if you acquire land from someone who is not legally mandated, most likely that land you are being given is illegal, and you end up losing it in the process. So a lot of the cries we are having from citizens is because in the first place, they acquired the land wrongly. They did not follow the right process of the law. And so they end up crying and after they've spent their hard-earned money. I think I can now take your questions, Zipporah.
Okay. Talking about what should we do to actually depoliticize land issues in Zambia?
I think we just need to follow the rule of law to ensure that no cadre, no individual is allowed to allocate land. Where there is a piece of land, we need to ensure that you either acquire that land from the Ministry of Lands or from the council. These are the ones that are legally mandated. But you can acquire land from private individuals as long as you ensure that you have carried out due diligence that this land is genuine, it is not illegal land. So the police and all the authorities have to ensure that they follow the law. They arrest any people that are allocating land illegally, regardless of their political affiliation. And I think that has to be done. And once that is done, cadres will stay away from land. As a result, we are going to have sanity in the land sector. As long as we begin to treat political cadres because of their connections with people in power as sacred cows, we will continue to have this. This did not start during the PF regime. It was there during the MMD, and of course during Kaunda time those things were not there because the value of land was not But it started from the MMD, and if it is not dealt with by the New Dawn government, this is likely to continue. So we just have to ensure that the rule of law is enforced.
Okay, and maybe as one way of bringing sanity to land issues in Zambia, do we need to conduct a human resource audit at the Ministry of Lands?
Zipporah, before you proceed with your question, we have another caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
You're through to Camnet TV. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yes, I'm calling from Chibombo and Webster.
It's good to know that Chibombo is watching. Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes, I'm just continuing with your topic, which is very, very important. The Honorable has talked about imposing some people to drop the area, but the development is affecting the owners, the surroundings. In short, the people who are staying around. Now, it doesn't help anyone if the other people are imposing in the image of developing the area. There are some areas like these people want to develop the area, these people, Chinese and other people. They just impose, and when you ask the people who give the land, there's no one who is standing in the open. They say, no, they want everyone to fly. But they continue encroaching, disturbing the people. You know, even those people who are around that, they have nowhere to take their animals, whatever. Even the fields which they have been plowing for a long time. But no one is claiming to say, to me, what is this? How do you look at that? You know, people are crying that people, you know, there is no sanity in that. You know, that the Chinese and other people who have money, they are doing that. And the people are crying. You know, now that development help the community. I don't know whether that one can be moving in Zambia. You know, if you go to Chiwombo, where the Chinese are done whatever, they have done a lot of harm. People are migrating there in that area, nowhere to take their animals, what is what, keeping their food. And they are living at the area where is the schools, which is around that place. It's affected. People are falling. And those people who are coming to Material, they are on temple. They can't even stay for a long time. They go and they come back, they come, they go. So let's go to the government to look into that. To hear the cry of the people, not the people who have money, especially the foreigners. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for that contribution. And so, Mr. Amsole, even as you maybe just acknowledge the caller, there's been this concern anyway, what people are disadvantaged in their own land against foreign nationals. How can such issues be handled?
Yeah, that's an unfortunate reality that is happening in our country, where our leaders that are mandated with the authority to alienate land are doing it single-handedly without consulting the people that will be affected by that development. I think the best practice is that, first and foremost, we need to state that the Zambian law gives the mandate to the government to administer state land and also to the chiefs to administer customary land. So it is actually within their legal mandate for chiefs to administer customary land, to allocate land in customary areas. However, when it comes to administering the land in customary areas, they need to consult the people that will be affected by those investments. It doesn't matter what the investment is promising. The people are supposed to consult to ensure that everyone that will be affected by that investment, by that allocation of land, is actually aware. They also agree that yes, that land needs to be given. And that's the reason we have been advocating to have the principle of free, prior, and informed consent enshrined in our policy and our laws, so that no single entity, be it government or be it a chief, can give land without consulting the people that will be affected. You know, there is also this wrong notion where if you find a bare piece of land where there are no villages, then you conclude that this land is vacant, this land is available. It's not true. Because
I'm going to cover, there's a lot of bush, so construct.
No. Their interest on that land. For example, our caller mentioned about grazing land. That land is being used. There are different land uses. Not all the land is for construction or residential areas. There's land for farming, there's land for grazing, there's land for burial grounds. Land has different uses, and so all the uses need to be respected. So it's unfortunate if in allocating that land, the community members were not consulted, and then sounds like there was no transparency, because there has to be transparency where community members are told, okay, we have an investor who has come to bring development here, and this is the development, and this is the land that we are going to allocate to them, so that everyone agrees that yes, we agree. When we look at the advantages that we expect to come from this investment, we agree that this land can be used, so that at the end of the day, no one cries foul. But unfortunately, what has been happening in most cases is that the chief will just make a decision without consulting, and after the land has been given, then the community members or the subjects begin to cry foul, which is unfortunate. So we continue to advocate for consultation. Please consult. Our Royal Highnesses, the chiefs, you have the mandate, you have the legal strength of the law for you to administer land, but please do it in consultation with your subjects, because at the end of the day, your subjects will be affected by that land allocation.
And as we come to the conclusion, how can we restore sanity to land issues in Zambia and ensure that land rights of ordinary citizens are protected?
There are a number of things we can do, Miriam. One of the things that we can do is, first and foremost, we need to refine our laws. I'm glad that we have a policy in place, but we need to ensure that existing laws are amended to speak to the policy. A lot of the laws that we have in this country are actually outdated. Some of them are actually archaic and obsolete. We need to amend them. The first law we need to deal with is the Lands Act of 1995. That law does not protect the land rights of people on customary land. We need to ensure that we amend it to protect the landholders on customary land. We also need to deal with other laws such as the Mining and Mining Development Act. We need to deal with that law because it is one of the laws that are resulting in displacement of so many citizens in this country. There are so many other laws that we need to deal with to ensure that we amend them so that whatever laws we come up with protect the interests of the Zambians. Secondly, we ensure that these laws we are coming up with are implemented. It's sad that we've had laws that have not been enforced. So let's go beyond coming up with laws. Let's go into enforcement of these laws. Because laws are only as good as they are enforced. If they are not enforced, they will not help or protect Zambians. Then we need to ensure that Zambian citizens are sensitized, they are aware about existing laws. A lot of the problems which citizens suffer from are as a result of not knowing the laws. They don't know what the laws say, they don't know what their rights are, and as a result, they actually suffer even when there are laws to protect them. So citizens need to be aware about the laws and the policies governing land in this country. Then they'll be able to claim their rights because they know what their rights are. Because in the absence of knowing, if they're ignorant of the laws, they will not be able to demand their rights. So I think these, if we followed these and we implemented them, I'm sure we can actually restore law and order in the land sector in our country.
Okay, and finally, Mr. Msoli, do we need, maybe I'm going to bring sanity to the land issues in Zambia, do we need a human resource audit at the Ministry of Lands, given that these people have been accused of being involved in illegalities, to actually need to actually sieve and see what's going on there?
I think we have investigating wings in this country. I'm glad that we have new officials at the Anti-Corruption Commission. We have new officials at Drug Enforcement Commission. These are capable institutions that can investigate and find people. If there are any people that are found wanting, they should actually be subjected to the legal process. So I think it's unfair to think that everyone, to make a blanket statement that everyone at the Ministry of Land is guilty. There could be some people that are innocent, but if there are people that have committed illegalities in the course of performing their duties, I think let investigations be instituted so that those that are found wanting are subjected to the legal process.
Definitely, and so this is where we unfortunately come to the end of our program. I have seen from the calls that we had, many people are actually affected by the issue at hand. But thank you very much for coming through, Mr. Msoli, for the show, and I'm sure we'll still call on you next time to expound more
on this topic. Zipporah, just from the call, you'll be able to tell that a lot of people would want to give their comment with regard to this issue.
Exactly. Right now that marketing land.
Exactly. So it's something that we also need to follow up in our newsroom. Yeah.
You're most welcome, and I think it's a pleasure for us to come and give our opinion from our professional experience, because we deal with land all the time, and so we get a lot of reports on land illegalities and complaints and conflicts going on, and it's a big issue in this country. I think we need to deal with it together as a country. We need to put our heads together to resolve these problems.
So this is where we come to the end of our program. So do join us tomorrow as we're going to be talking about the increased floor price maize by the Food Reserve Agency from 160 to 180 per 50 kg bag of maize. And so, Miriam, maybe you can actually conclude for us.
Yes, exactly, Zipporah. This is where we come to the end of our morning breakfast show. Thank you so much, our viewers, for staying to the end of the show. I know a lot of people were following us live on Facebook page. I saw a comment from Mr. Edwin Zulu. Apparently, we were not able to read those comments, but we are glad that you stayed tuned to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. This is where we come to the end of our discussion this morning. For me, Miriam Kaimba, and my co-host, Zipporah Mshara, it's bye-bye and God bless you.